L is for the way you like, subscribe, and do all the things to all the buttons. Thanks. Valentine's Day is upon us, boys and girls, and that means Cupid is strapped and anyone with a significant other probably is about to be also. Continuing with the game show series, we recently ranked Netflix's line of cooking ones in a previous video if you didn't already know. Today we are moving on to another subset of the genre and the most relevant one currently, the dating game show. Watching other people fall in and out of love and some of the cringy moments that accompany it is something that is definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but for those who it is, their cup runneth over, as there has certainly been no shortage of great shows throughout the years, including a brand new Netflix original called Perfect Match that is due to debut on V-Day that mixes contestants from other Netflix reality shows in the traditional dating show format, and I am very excited for that. But geez, shut up already and let's rank these things. Here are my picks for the 10 best dating game shows. Real quick honorable mentions, as I have not seen these shows but have only heard great things about them. First is going to be Love Island. The British dating show seems like a tremendous amount of fun and certainly appears to be the most hedonistic show of the bunch. But for whatever reason, I just haven't made my way around to it yet. But that doesn't stop me from randomly yelling out through my house, "I got text!" Thanks, Kodiko. The other is going to be Too Hot to Handle, which essentially was conceptualized from the Seinfeld episode where the characters bet on who can abstain from masturbation the longest. This show brings together a bunch of singles who have been historically unlucky in the relationship department and unable to establish any sort of long-term commitments, and runs them through a set of workshops and exercises to better themselves in their love lives. The catch is they are not allowed to engage in any sort of sexual activity while there, and each time one of them slips up, the grand prize that begins at $200,000 is slightly reduced. This is one of the next shows up on my list, and it very well could rank in the top 10 once it's had its fair eval, but for now it's in the honorables. But let's turn the lights down low and kick this thing off with a classic. Number 10 is going to be Love Connection. This certainly wasn't the first dating game show, but this is the one that most people from the 80s and 90s will think of when they think of the quintessential dating show, since it ran for an amazing 13 seasons and at one point was the third longest airing game show of any kind behind Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy! The general concept of the show was, prior to an episode airing, having a contestant choose between one of three potential dates simply off of answers given to some of their questions. The audience would also get to choose who they thought was the best potential match, and after it had been revealed who the contestant chose, they would be reunited on stage to discuss how the date went with the host Chuck Woolery. After this, the audience's choice would then be revealed, and the contestant would have the option to take the second all-expenses-paid date with their choice, or to swap and take a date with the audience's pick, or to bail entirely. This show revived Chuck Woolery's career after his run as the original host of Wheel of Fortune fizzled out, and he became known for his catchphrase prior to a break.
In fact, we're going to do it in 2 and 2. We'll be right back at you.
Referencing the 2 minutes and 2 second time frame that a standard commercial block was at the time. When compared to some of the shows of today, it doesn't quite carry the same appeal that it once had, being that you don't actually get to see the date happen and we're just hearing secondhand accounts, but Love Connection walked so other shows like it could be run down our collective throats. It would garner consideration simply based off of its history alone, but I do have a lot of fond memories watching this show growing up, and so for now at least, it maintains a spot in the top 10. Number 9 is going to be Baggage, which is the show that I feel had the most wasted potential of any of the shows on this list. It's hosted by Jerry Springer and is pretty much exactly how you'd expect a dating show hosted by Jerry Springer to be. It's kind of trashy, you're pretty sure a lot of it's fake, and you spend a lot of time questioning while you're watching it, but damn it if this show couldn't have been so much more than it was. The concept of the show was sort of a standard dating show format, with one contestant choosing from 3 potential matches, but the twist was they would be deciding it all off of negative characteristics about their 3 possible mates and what baggage they couldn't live with. At the end, once the contestant had made their choice, they would have to then reveal a really big negative characteristic of their own, and the tables would be flipped where then they would be judged. Like I said, this show could have been much more than it was, and Jerry Springer really is a competent enough host, but evidently as a cost-cutting measure, this show hired actors as contestants rather than casting actual people, and it really shows at times.
I guess your testicles aren't ones that I'll be looking at anytime soon.
Whoa! Honestly, it's a real shame too, because given the proper conditions, this show could really succeed, especially given the way our current dating world seems to operate. At the time, trash TV was sort of in its death rattle and evolving into its current form of trash YouTube.
Jolly Ranchers. They are so pretty unwrapped. We lost the rancher.
Hey! Are you kidding me? So this show only lasted 3 seasons back in the 2010s, but I think you could revive this show with real people and you put like somebody like Pete Davidson or something as your host.
That video would sell. Fuck, I'm good. How do I get these ideas? It's like a gift, you know? It's like I can't control it.
The next one might shock/anger some fans of the genre, being so low as it seems to have assumed the mantle of being the quintessential dating show of the time, but number 8 is going to be The Bachelor/Bachelorette. This show popularized a brand new template for the dating show in that it is a weekly elimination show with one contestant dating 20 different potential suitors in a hope to find their forever partner. I'm gonna be honest, I do somewhat understand this show's position as a favorite. It has some wonderful drama, especially when the field starts to narrow, and for people who are more in love with the idea of being in love, I suppose this is all you need. It's also the first show that I can remember where the idea of someone being there for the wrong reason, aka being there just to further their career and not to actually find a mate, really became a huge factor. But this show is well known for ratings tricks such as having and encouraging the use of props to be as much of a character as possible, alluding to major things in previews only for them to be completely overblown, and other sorts of little clever editing tricks. And it just feels like rather than letting the inherent complexities of falling in love drive the car, they try to steer it as much as possible. And for me, I've never been able to get past that fully. Also, there is some criticism to be had, I think, for the fact that these relationships are based and built in a fantasy world, and when they go back to the regular world that doesn't have multiple dates a week consisting of helicopter tours to a candlelit dinner on your own private island, a great number of these relationships succumb to reality, and this show has an astonishingly low success rate in that department. However, it does have an astonishingly high success rate when it comes to the only thing that matters.
Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the fucking money, shithead?
Even though it is worth noting that this show currently has been on a slow ratings decline and currently sits at its lowest point ever. But with all the seasons and spin-offs, there is no denying its place in the zeitgeist and its place among the top 10, even if it is highly overrated in my opinion. Coming in at number 7 is going to be Netflix's show The Ultimatum. This is the second dating game show created by Chris Coellen and the second to feature power couple Nick and Vanessa Lachey as the hosts. This brings together a group of couples that have reached the point in their relationships where one of them is ready to get married and the other one isn't, and essentially gives them the opportunity to briefly date another person that has also come along on the experiment. After the couples have had their chances to see what else is or isn't out there, they must then make a choice to remain with the person they came with and agree to tie the knot, or they can leave with their new boo and decide to start fresh. I remember back in the day when MTV's Spring Break was still a big deal, they would do a version of this with a couple that had come together to party, and the drama and the fights that would ensue were always fun to watch, so this type of show is certainly a winning format. The couples featured in season 1 are also a memorable cast for both good and bad reasons, and watching the dynamic of the differences between the ones who are ready for commitment and the ones who aren't play out is uncomfortable but compelling TV. Insecurities about the new relationships that form versus the couples that arrived leads to some very relatable moments, as watching someone attempt to convince their significant other that they're still committed to working things out while at the same time knowingly drifting more toward their new thing is a situation most of us have been on one or both ends of at some point. Season 2 is already coming down the pike as well with an LGBTQ theme on the next go around, so that should add even more data to a very interesting study into romantic behavior and the complexities of relationships, and I'm very excited to see where they go. 6 is going to be Blind Date. This was the first show that I can recall that actually took the camera along and filmed the contestants on their blind dates, and so this show became very popular and it became known for its hilarious thought bubble graphics and random facts that would also pop up during opportune moments on the date.
I have to pee like a racehorse right now.
Yeah.
I do.
I actually don't.
What does it mean, pee like a racehorse?
Very
Is it because they have to get somewhere to pee, or does it mean...
Honestly, I'm not sure.
It's kind of a weird phrase.
Yeah,
Usually people, by not understanding me, when I say a simple word like, I'd like to buy some water, and they're like, water? water.
I don't normally move this fast.
I never thought I could feel this way about someone other than my wife.
They would also let you know if a particular date you were about to see was a hot and heavy one or a potential disastrous one. In many ways, this show is sort of the Cops of the dating show world in that they just put a camera on and they just let it happen. And it produced some pretty awesome TV, even if it produced very, very few second dates, let alone relationships. Also, much like Cops, this show had a seemingly higher share of people being absolutely ruined in public.
You're about smooth skin. Cause you're a smooth operator. Smooth operator. You love it. You love it.
You drunk?
No. But this ought to do it.
The host, Roger Lodge, is decent enough. In fact, that sort of sums up this entire show. It's decent enough, and if it's on, it's worth a watch, but it's not the I want to sit down and watch this show specifically type of show, if that makes sense. Take a shot every time I say the word show, my god. Anyway, decent enough on this list is enough to get you no higher than number 6. Number 5. Every rose has its thorn. We're going with Rock of Love. This show came out during VH1's period of seeing the massive success of The Bachelor/Bachelorette's early years and saying to themselves, there's money in that there tornado of drama, alcohol, and sex, and then attempting to copy the formula with the catch being that the catch was a famous celebrity. Well, at first anyway. But in my opinion, the best of them all was lead singer of Poison, Bret Michaels' search for a companion. The weekly challenges centered around situations that the competing women might find themselves in should they be selected to be Bret's girlfriend in the end, and the contestants over the 3 seasons were an extremely unique and varied group of women, with many of them obviously only there to further their own career pursuits, and some of them did in fact go on to do other stuff afterwards, such as Daisy De La Hoya ending up with her own dating show. This show is just stupid fun. It was just such a moment in time as Bret Michaels experienced a bit of a renaissance during this period.
Basically what I'm trying to say is rock and roll was an insatiable bitch goddess, but I love her, and I'm just looking for that one woman in my life to participate in that threesome.
In fact, I saw Poison twice on tour during 2008, and my mom met Bret himself a couple years after the show ended and said he was a very nice guy. He apparently, as of this recording, has still never married and is currently single, so fingers crossed we get a relaunch of this show when Bret retires from touring and commits to marriage. Taking the number 4 spot is going to be Eliminate. This is basically an elimination show where the contestant takes 4 potential matches on a group date and one by one eliminates them at the end of designated rounds until only one remains. Honestly, there really is nothing super special about it in hindsight, but this show was sort of a staple of my high school and college years, and so I have a lot of fond memories of watching this super late at night. The 4 people all vying to win the heart of the person they're on the date with usually spend some time shit-talking the others and trying to point out their flaws, and that all makes for some fun and sometimes cringy TV.
No, that's how I'm standing. Why, is there a problem? The way I'm standing?
I just didn't know if you're trying to stick your chest out.
Oh, really? No, it sticks out by itself.
Maybe it's normally like that.
It is a little bit robust. Right.
Yeah, well, this is how I stand, and this is how I look.
Hell yeah. Can we do that one more time?
I want to get a drink because they were being sluts, and I'm not a slut, so I just wanted a drink.
In many ways, it's a combination of what Blind Date did, but mixed with like an abridged version of The Bachelor format, and it produced a show that I ultimately think is slightly better than both, despite running for a far less time than either one of them. And to be honest, I don't really have much else to say about it.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Next is going to be Next. This is one of MTV's old dating shows that was similar to Eliminate, but rather than the contestant dating all potential suitors at once, these dates would take place consecutively with the chosen person being able to next the person that is on the date with them at any time for any reason, leading to absolutely hilarious interactions.
I'm Evan.
Alex.
You have a really weak handshake, so I have to say next.
You're really ugly, and it's your loss, bitch.
Whatever, you're the loser here.
Next! It said next!
I'm Benjamin.
What's up, I'm Chelsea.
Nice to meet you. Next.
Stop right there. Next.
Potential matches await in a bus that is nearby, and the catch is that each of these potential matches also has a monetary stake involved. For every minute they last on the date, they earn $1. If they make it to the point of being chosen and ask for a second date with a contestant, they can then choose to take the date or take the money and run. In my opinion, this is just the most fun and chaotic of the shows of its time period, and it's sort of like a prehistoric version of The Button. It also just exemplifies everything about our current dating culture in that rejection and disinterest can be immediate and swift, and it's sort of like Tinder as a TV show. It's dumb, stupid fun, and it's deserved of the bronze. Number 2 is going to be a show that a lot of younger people might not remember, and that is going to be MTV's original dating game show, Singled Out. The contestant in this one would have 50 potential matches trying to win a date with them, all by making their way through various styled elimination rounds, hoping to be the last one standing. However, the contestant was unable to actually see any of the 50 hopefuls until they walked by after being eliminated, and then ultimately seeing the winner in a final reveal moment. This show was different for its time in that it was one of the first to sort of lean more into the comedy aspect of the dating show genre, with different comedic characters making appearances and pop culture references strewn throughout the elimination rounds. It also didn't put a lot of emphasis on compatibility, and so some of the reveal moments don't go exactly as planned and lead to some kind of uncomfortable moments. In Season 2, they also introduced the golden ticket concept in that the contestant may give one eliminated person walking past them a golden ticket to keep them in the game for another chance at ending up with them, which was just a genius evolution to the show. During the early to mid-90s, Singled Out and Beavis and Butthead were like the shows that I would try and sneak watch anytime I could because they were what my older siblings were into, and thus if I watched them, I was cooler and older. Having said that, I have tremendous memories of watching this show with my brother and sisters and having it be something I wasn't necessarily supposed to watch, but that they would hook me up with when my parents weren't around. That's the stuff that pushes a show over the edge in a lot of ways for me. Those memories. Anyway, this show helped to launch the careers also of Jenny McCarthy and Carmen Electra, respectively, as they each had a turn being in the show's Vanna White-esque role of co-host to the male counterpart Chris Hardwick. There were attempts at a revival that didn't stick, and unfortunately I think it is lost to the world of excellent shows that crumbled to bad circumstances. What could have been? But the number one spot, the one I want to take home, the hottest bish in this place, if you will, is going to be Love is Blind. This is the unquestioned new king of the dating show world, if you ask me. This is Netflix's original dating show created by Chris Coellen and hosted by Nick and Vanessa Lachey, and it's due to the success of this show that led to the goodwill to get The Ultimatum greenlighted. This show's concept is rooted in an experiment to see if true, lasting marriages can be built with a foundation of only mental and emotional connection. In this show, a large group of men and women are brought together and essentially put through a series of blind speed dates, only being allowed to see the other person once a strong enough connection has been made that marriage is proposed. Their entire process is then captured all the way to the wedding day. Everything about this show is amazing, from the pod dates to the always nerve-wracking reveal moments to the drama-filled episodes where everyone gets to meet the other people they dated in person that now have chosen other people, all the way to the weddings and the will they or won't they that you ask yourself as a viewer all season. This show just has absolutely everything that you want in a dating show. It's the train wreck you can't look away from. It produces moments of cringe that will literally physically pain you at times.
I have a huge Instagram following. I have a lot of Instagram followers. I have a huge Instagram following. I have like a lot of friends.
I have a lot of friends.
And I think I'm really good at these pods because like with my job, I have like a lot of Instagram followers.
I love buying clothes for girls. Yeah, what's your size? Would you like working out? I get along best with individuals that do work out.
Hi.
Who am I talking to?
I don't know. Take a guess.
No, Shayna, there we go.
What?
Oh, that's what I was hoping for.
What are you wearing over there?
Hello?
Hello?
Shayna, stop.
It's Natalie.
I never thought I could care for someone that would bring me to tears.
but also it has a wonderful mix of couples that you root for wholeheartedly, and also some that you just will love hate watching and hoping for their karma to be swift and public. This show also had the luxury of airing its debut season during early 2020, so it got a lot of extra potential audience for, no particular reason whatsoever, and that led to amazing commercial success, and we are 3 seasons in with no apparent signs of any slowing down. If I'm going to criticize anything, it would be the editing style when it comes to showing conversations and them clearly chopping it up to appear as other things, or just having awkward long pauses that don't happen in normal convos but are just there to create drama. But once you sort of get used to it, you can get past it most times without too much of a bother. All things considered though, this is unquestionably my favorite dating show, and if it continues at its current trajectory, I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. That is unless Perfect Match comes in and smashes it to pieces. Anyway, folks, there you have it. Hopefully you found a potential match you hadn't yet considered, or possibly an old fling to revisit. In any event, be sure to check out the socials and stay up to date with all of that. Got something special coming for the next video that I am very excited about, so come back soon for that. That's all for now though. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.